Hello and welcome to Bleeding Tree Gaming. My name's Amy, aka Warpfiend, and today I am joined by...
I'm Luke, aka SirMime.
And today we are looking at Nurgle and Sons of Behemat in Age of Sigmar 4.0. We had yesterday lovely Maggotkin of Nurgle here. Now, I didn't play them in last edition. I last played them in second edition, but I did play a couple of games against them during the edition. And some of this stuff seems familiar, some of it seems different.
It's still like they have a very thematic, like being able to infect everyone on the board and cause mortal damage through an infection. It's kind of a slightly toned down from what it can be at the minute, but it does look very interesting, I think.
Now, I believe currently they don't actually need to be in combat to infect them regularly. It's like they've got a range.
It's just pretty much any kind of like hit roll of a 6 adds a disease point onto someone at the moment.
Oh, okay, yeah. So now you have basically these three that manage the diseased status. So, like, once per turn at the end of the turn, you can pick an enemy unit in combat with you to give the diseased. You can pick a diseased unit to spread to another enemy unit in that unit's combat range.
That sounds horrible.
And you could also choose, if all the enemy units are diseased, then you can inflict 1 mortal damage to all of them. So not huge, but that's really going to be a nasty little sting in the tail if you do manage to get all the units diseased.
Well, I say, but that mortal damage one does actually stack up with the racked with disease ability there as well. So it's not just the 1 mortal damage; they're also potentially getting like 2 or 3 other mortal damage on them as well.
Yeah, so racked with disease, you roll a d3 for every diseased enemy unit at the end of the turn, and on a 2+, you inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the roll. So that's pretty good. On a 3 or up, you're inflicting an extra mortal damage there, and there's also this passive one that basically just, if an enemy heals, it will remove disease from them, but not heal the wounds.
Yeah. I say it's better than having a deep strike mechanic in the battle phase.
Yes, yeah. So all in all, that's pretty powerful. And as we can see as we move on, some of the like war scrolls have particular things that can affect that. And this battle formation, sorry. Actually, from the second round onwards, you add 1 to the amount of mortal damage inflicted, if any, by the racked with disease ability. So, yep, I can see that would be fun for playing with your disease stuff.
I'll say it's Nurgle. It's the way you play with Nurgle, really. Stuff's just like so slow and resilient, but you're just hoping like the mortal damage just kills off everything.
Yes, very much so. We see, first of all, some of one of the spells here, Fleshy Abundance, the classic Nurgle spell. And it's just like a heal on a 7.
That looks D3. A horrible spell, like, especially with some of the other war scrolls you see further on. The fact that, like, you've done all this work to try and chip some damage off, and they've got an unlimited spell to heal up D3.
Yeah. And if they're not damaged, you can subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks that target them.
Ugh. They are going to be so tanky if you get some of that off.
Yeah. I think wizards are going to be pretty useful if the rest of the spells like that.
Speaking of someone that's got the wizard keyword.
Yep, the great unclean one, and he's got a big tanky 20 wounds there.
Huge amount of wounds.
Now, I've noticed all the weapon options have just been collapsed into colossal blight weapons here.
That seems quite nice. You don't have to build him up a particular way now, by the looks of it.
Yep, yep. I mean, he only gets 4 attacks main, but there is obviously like 10 smaller attacks with the Nurgling.
Mm.
He's not going to be a close combat monster by the look of him, but I think with the kind of he is very much balanced with the spellcaster like wizard stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So he has the movement phase ability to pick a friendly unit that started with 3 or more models and that's been destroyed. On 4+, replace it with half the number of models. So, yeah.
But that's really interesting, that one, because it's playing into that demon recursion mechanic again. That, like, I mean, we saw with the chaos spawn, it can basically be brought back an unlimited number of times.
Yes, yes.
So it's going to be interesting, like whether plague bearers will have a similar mechanic to them.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're going to obviously be using him to just like pile back your dead units. He also has this end
I
of a
love this
turn
one.
ability.
This one's so thematic of like fighting a great unclean one, just stabbing
Yeah.
into like all that pus and bile and
Yeah, yeah. So if it's damaged, you pick up to 3 enemy units in combat with it. You roll a d3 for each. On a 2+ mortal damage, it's that d3 roll again. Yep, yep. I really like that. You don't want to be too close if you just stabbed a great unclean one.
And then he's got his lovely War Scroll spell of Plague Wind for some range disease giving.
Yep, yep. So the enemy unit just has to be within 12 inches, and on a 7+ you can just give them diseased. That's going to be a handy one to cast.
And yeah, it looks like every one of the Nurgle War Scrolls we see has like the 5+ ward save just built onto the War Scroll. It's not like a
Yes,
they
yeah,
haven't
no,
put it as
that's
like an
it.
army specific thing or
Seems to be faction wide, like definitely like 4+ save on the great unclean ones. About it's not 3+, but they're not heavily armored. It's just
I say like 4+ save of a 5+ ward and 20 wounds. He should be sticking around for a
yes,
while
that
though.
is not going to be a problem. So next up, the Sloppity Bile Piper, um, which just basically is just all about putting off your jolly gut pipe
Yeah,
spells.
yeah.
And they seem fairly decent. They're kind of similar. I know the names are the same as the ones that we currently have.
Yeah, yeah. I know like Sloppy was like infamous in Maggotkin lists, like until they essentially nerfed him. I think he could only affect demon units after a while of him being so overplayed in Maggotkin of Nurgle.
Yeah. I
But
don't know what the current abilities were, but this is a +1 to wound roll. Um, you can't make ward rolls
wards,
uh, um, against your target, and you subtract 1 from hit rolls. So not hugely powerful abilities. I don't know if they've been nerfed since what they were last season.
I say there's like one he had where it was like completely cuts off the enemy units from being able to make pile-in moves against demons. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think those are kind of solid and not overpowered. I think he's definitely going to be useful. A lot of players from last edition might be cursing that he has been nerfed so much still.
There's some good utility in him there. I mean, like +1
Yeah.
to wounds always quite nice.
Turning
Ward
off ward
rolls,
save, yeah, that's
yeah.
good.
And subtract 1 from hit rolls. If you've got that and you've got -1 to wound on your stuff as well from Fleshy Abundance, then yeah, if the target that's got the -1 to wound on them isn't going anywhere for a long time. It's
Exactly, yeah.
and that Harbinger of Decay now.
Yeah.
He
So
looks
7
interesting.
wounds, 7 wound hero, so not like your massive one, obviously. And as a priest, priest 1.
Yeah. But his actual priest ability, what was it? Or am I thinking of the once per battle one he's got? Oh
The
no, it
once per
is. It is actually his chant. It sounds absolutely amazing. It
yes.
basically subtracts the control score for everything within a 12-inch radius of him if you get up to 10 on his chanting roll.
Yeah, subtract twice the current battle round number from the target's control score. So if you use it, if you're using this in like the last round, say, you're getting. It doesn't say whether you're rounding up or
I'll say it
down.
doesn't say anything to a minimum, does it?
So
Which we've seen
say
a
you're on
couple
turn
of.
5 and it rounds down to 2. So
Hmm.
you subtract 2 from all enemy units within 12 inches if you've got the 10 plus on it. That is pretty good. And you only need 4 to get it off on
Hmm.
one unit.
Which, as well, like we've seen a couple of war scrolls that have like anti-control nullifying abilities on them so far. So it's
Hmm.
interesting to actually see one that does affect control negatively.
Yep. And the once per battle, you can subtract 1 from the move and 1 from run and charge rolls for a target, up to 3 enemy units.
It's nice that it's within 24. Um,
Yes, yes.
I'm going to say, like, it's not as powerful as a lot of the ones we've seen where it's been subtract a dice from a charge roll or something. It's just subtract 1. But I say, at the end of the day, you're still making them 1 less movement and then 1 less on the charge. So there's a good chance that you can use it to stop someone from getting you that turn.
Yeah, yeah. I will say the melee profile's pretty solid for this with the crit mortal threes
Oh
and
yeah, flat
threes.
3 mortal wounds going through on a hit roll of a 6 is very nice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
God, I was like, why is this model like only available like GW online? It's like
Oh,
can't find him anywhere.
I know. It's such a cool model. Yeah. Um, Very impressive. Yeah. I mean, like that's a pretty good profile. Like a lot of, I would expect that to be kind of the fightiest that Nurgle gets,
Yeah,
really,
I'd say like
because.
Nurgle stuff isn't particularly fighty, as I say, just like
Hmm,
it hopes to weather the storm and just hope that the mortal damage takes care of everyone around them.
exactly. Yeah. The Blight Kings themselves, um, I was surprised they only have one control, but I mean, I
Yeah,
guess I thought they were kind of like more elite things that they might have more control, but I guess it makes sense.
it's always been strange to me that these guys are kind of like battle line for Maggotkin of Nurgle, but then again, they are like
Yeah,
the most basic mortal followers that you can get, really.
yes, yes. But they do have 3 damage. I don't know if they're on 3 or 4 before.
They have like I think it's like 4 health apiece, and the champion has like an extra wound. It's like a really weird rule for them currently,
Yes,
but they
yes.
are currently on a 4-up save as well, though, so they've actually gained some better armor.
Hmm. I'll say again, threes and threes, but 4 attacks. Only damage 1 on these ones,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
4 attacks on a basic troop is not bad at all.
I'll say that's pretty nice. But yeah, like the 3-up save and a 5-up ward, they look like unbelievably tough to chew through.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, you only have the 1 control, but you do have the bloated bulk that adds 3 to the control score of the unit while they're contesting an objective that you control.
Say as well, that's like a unit of 5. So you're
Hmm.
getting 20 control out of these guys if they're on an objective that you already control.
Yeah.
And a 3-up save and a 5-up ward and the ability to make them -1 to wound and -1 to hit. Good luck shifting.
Well, wait, but I thought it was like the controls 1 times 5, and then you add 3 to it, so 8
Oh yes,
control.
yeah, silly me though, yeah, yeah. So it is only 8, but yeah, it's
Yes.
still it's still better than nothing.
Hmm.
Well, like we saw the Crypt Guard the other day, like that's a unit of 10, and they've only got like a control score of 1.
Yeah, yeah, and I suppose you can always like reinforce your units, and Also, there's plague bearers and stuff, and Nurglings tend to be used to fill out troop types
I
always.
wonder how annoying Nurglings are going to be in this edition.
Yeah, we don't actually see that, but Nurglings are always fun little mischievous little fellows that want to get in your way.
Going into the actual
Spearhead then.
one.
Yep, the Bleak Host. So this one, I think this is a solid spearhead because it has the Pusgoyle light lords, which are really cool.
This has always kind of been a box I've had my eye on, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Ever since we played against that Maggotkin list that had nothing but the Puss lords.
I think the Pusgoyle's the only things I don't currently have to run a list, although I do need to paint the rest of my Blight Kings. So yeah, we see the battle traits for these ones are just trying to, well, you've got the demonic summoning basically for the one of your Pusgoyle Blight Lords and one of your Plague Bearers units, which can only be put on from the third battle round. And then you have the two diseased abilities. So you receive a disease point every time an attack made by a friendly model scores a critical hit.
Yeah, so that's in line with like the 3rd edition rules at the minute for the diseased.
Yes, yes. And then you can spend any number of them, pick an enemy unit in combat with any of your units. On a 4+, you inflict 1 mortal damage on that unit.
It's pretty solid.
So, like, literally you can use that multiple times per turn, and you can pick the same enemy unit more than once, so you can spend them all on one unit.
Ooh. The only thing I'm like from reading that though is the Pusgoyle Blight Lords. Is it the unit of 2 that started off the board, or do you have them as 2 individual ones and get to start 1 on the board and 1 off?
Ah, that's interesting. It says one of your Pusgoyle Blight Lords, so I assume that means they're both individual.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you can run them as singles currently as well as. But yeah, I mean, like you've still got the Blight Kings, and you've still got the what's his name now? The Screwpox Scrivener.
Oh, very well done. Yes. I wouldn't have been able to remember that.
That looks like
the shouty boy, the boy with the big mouth.
I mean, the Blight Kings alone, like, it's going to be hard to shift them in Spearhead.
Absolutely, yeah. And they just show us this war scroll for the Plague Bearers, which, they subtract 1 from all hit rolls for shooting attacks targeting them, which is very thematic. And then with 6 up save, but 5 up ward.
No, so they've never really stuck around with their saves. It's always been the ward saves as well.
Yeah. And they're just good for swamping people down, just like wearing them out, basically.
Yeah. Honestly, you're gonna get those disease points rack up, and you're gonna be able to do some mortal damage on people.
Now they don't have the reinforcements, so like literally once all this is on,
there's nothing about being able to bring them back unless the Scrivener has something on his war scroll or.
No, I mean they particularly say while there are no units with the reinforcements keyword. So I'm assuming that means you get what you get in this, which is, I mean, fine. It seems like they're definitely going to be a powerful one if the rules are anything close to the standard ones.
Although again, like the wording on the detachment, it also says 1 of your units of Plague Bearers.
Yes, now
and there is only 1 unit of Plague Bearers.
No, you get 10 Plague Bearers, but I believe from this picture that they're 2 units of 5. That's how I interpreted it anyway.
I'll say it is a box I've constantly had to stop myself from buying.
Yes. Oh, I do love the Pusgoyles, but that's mostly what I need for my army, though. I've already got plenty of Plague Bearers.
I think that is going to be a really just like in Spearhead and in the main game, they're just going to be so resilient. Like, you get those spells off them, you're just going to have a nightmare trying to shift them off the board.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, talking in ones that are going to be a nightmare to shift off the board. If anyone can do it, it might be these guys.
Oh my goodness.
So, Sons of Behemat, they seem pretty spicy this edition.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, compared to everything else we've seen, even god-level characters.
Oh my goodness. I just can't believe like some of the antis and stuff they have. Like some of the stuff like you can already see on this that you can achieve with some of these guys are absolutely mental.
Yeah. Now, I will say, like, it's not like they're mega OP because
No.
they don't have the advantage of other units backing them up. So
there's no wards. There's very little means of stacking saves on them on their 4-ups. It's just
you're going to be
all
losing a lot of wounds all the time. So the timber rule. That seems to be now it's within 3 inches of the model you inflict D3 mortal damage.
Yeah, that is pretty much as it is now. I think.
Is it only 3 inches currently? I thought it was 6.
Can't remember actually. Let's have a little look. So all I need to do is check it out. Did I disappear into myself there? So let's have a look. Timber. The winner picks a point on the battlefield 5 inches from the slain model.
5 inches,
and then 3 inches from that you do the mortal wounds currently. Okay,
yes. So, fairly much the same, slightly smaller range, which doesn't really match up with the size of the Gargant, but probably makes it easier to balance. So
the weird thing I find about the wording of this, though, is before, like, your Mega Gargants were safe from all timbers, whereas now, if Broad falls down, he can hurt you with a Mega Gargant.
Yes, that's true. So it damages anyone with a lower health characteristic. Then you have these 4 rampage abilities, and 3 of them are in the combat phase, and 1 of them is charge phase.
Yeah.
So you can pick a friendly. Each of your Gargants, or each of your Mega Gargants.
Yeah, Gargant or Mega Gargant. Some of them are only for Megas, like the Colossal Slam's only for Mega Gargants, but I think all the others can be used by either.
Oh, no. Sorry, Mega Gargant or Gargant, Mega Gargant, Mega Gargant or Gargant. Yes, you're right. So pick a friendly Mega Gargant or Gargant that charged this turn and has not used a rampage. Pick a visible enemy unit. Roll a D3 on a 2+, inflict an amount of mortal damage. So the D3 roll again. That's just the same charge ability that a lot of stuff has kind of built in. You turn it on with that, but I think they've got enough other abilities that not having that auto included is kind of justified.
I'm gonna say, like, the fact that like ogres have been toned down to like a D3 damage thing, it would kind of been unfair if giants still had like the D6 roll or something.
Yes. So the combat phase ones, you've got like an enhanced raw to just turn off commands for a unit.
Yeah, which like raw not being universal now, that's always good to have.
You then have the Colossal Slam, where you can move the unit on a 3+,
which I
set it up again within 1 inch of you, and then inflict D3 mortal damage.
Which I think this one currently gives you like a strike last effect on both monsters as well.
So monsters or war machines it affects. So you can effectively kind of go up to a war machine and move it to somewhere where it can't target you, or it's trapped, or
Oh no, you subtract one from your hit rolls on the actual giant that did the colossal slam currently, but now there's just no penalty.
yes, but I'm just saying, like, the utility of it now, like you can literally pick up something and put it on another side of you to kind of throw it off an objective, maybe, or
and you can move it all the way around your giant's base as long as it's within 1 inch at the other side, and then put it in range of another giant that's waiting to clobber it too.
Those mega gargants are on the big pie plate bases as well, so that's quite a bit. You can move things around. It'd be particularly useful if you've taken the second turn to just climb. Now let's just move this off this objective, shall we? And I'll have this.
It's quite interesting as well, though. There's no restrictions to you having to charge or stay still or anything. It's just literally any combat phase. Like one of the Gargants can do that.
Yep. And there's also the jump up and down one, which is now on a 3+. You can roll a dice for each model in the unit that's in combat with you. If it's a Gargant, you inflict mortal damage on a 6. If it's a Mega Gargant, it's on a 5 up.
It's a bit. I mean, it's going to be useful if you're against like a big horde of stuff, like just getting a couple of mortal damage out that way.
Yeah.
I say it's like the Colossal Slam and Roar are definitely the two like absolute must ones you're going to want to do every single combat phase.
Well, that's the battle trait. So the formations then, the one they show you, the Taker tribe, which is just an extra artifact of power, basically.
You don't even, from the sounds of it, you don't even have to have like the Kraken Eater as your warlord anymore. Like it's just Taker tribes, like my battle formation, and I'm getting an extra artifact.
Yeah. Now, because of this, it says specifically it's given during the deployment phase, not during army composition. So presumably, like, if
so
you're
you can
in
actually
a tournament,
tailor it to like the situation as well.
Yeah, you can declare at the start of the game what artifacts you're taking, which could be hugely important. Give them a massive amount of flexibility.
There are some in there that you probably wouldn't take in certain situations, but would take in others. Like,
so they just quickly say that there's breaker tribes who besiege to let them shield each other, stomper tribes who smear whole armies underfoot, and boss tribes that rely on bellowing at a rabble of foot slogger underlings.
So that one's definitely going to be for more of like the man crushers.
Yes.
The breaker one, I'm very interested to see what that means about shielding each other.
That could be interesting.
I wonder if that's going to be like the current King Broad one that was in the Dawnbreaker books, where as long as like you're next to another Mega Gargant, you get like a ward save or something.
Yeah, that could be nice.
These artifacts are...
So yeah, there's 6 of them here, and the descriptions are great. I really love these. They're very characterful. I especially like the glowy lantern. Stolen from the Elves of High Shufter, a botched alliance, this aether quartz jar was at first carried around just because it was shiny. So, the totem here is once per battle in your charge phase, you can use charge, and even if you use run, which is just a one-off thing. That's nice.
So that is a command ability at the moment, and you can just use that all game.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. You probably only need to do it once with the actual...
Yeah, it does seem a bit OP if they're just doing it all the time. Like, they've got all the abilities, and they do all the abilities all the time. I do like they've got the option to do them, but you have to turn it on.
Oh, yeah. Which one are you going down to next? Glowy Lantern? Or?
Yeah, the Glowy Lantern, once per battle in the deployment phase. So it basically just means you're a wizard one, and you can
you're a wizard Gargant.
You can manifest an endless spell. Yes.
Well, They do have this one at the minute as well, and I think there's like some weird rule where they can actually like bring it out like twice the distance of what it should be cast on normally, but like
Nice.
it's still good for an army that has no magic. Being
Yes,
able to like bring out endless spells is really nice.
that seems cool and not too overpowered. Like, yeah, just a little bit extra to give you a little bit more choice in your army ability without just overwhelming everyone.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm assuming it means they can have all of the universal manifestation laws.
I'd guess so.
Oh
I
my
mean,
days! Does that mean they could have the Kron spine? So
quite possibly.
I can't remember now because like he is classed as a manifestation. I don't think you've had to pay
Mhm.
anything for that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So the next
oh,
one, the next one is once per battle in your combat phase, you can add one to hit rolls by all your units
oh,
within 12 inches. So
yeah,
that's going to be pretty effective.
that's really, really good.
Hmm.
I mean, as we see later on, they're all natively hitting on fours now,
Hmm.
so getting them all down to threes is really big.
So yeah, the extra calloused feat is just a passive one that affects yourself, and it's just one to the attacks, rend, and damage of your almighty stomp or
No,
almightier stomp.
there's no just about this one. Once we get down to that war stomper, this is huge.
Yes, yes, that could be a game changer right there.
It's still only one of his attack profiles, but like increasing the rend on. I mean, like they're all rend 2 on all their weapons anyway, at
Yeah.
least. So now you're going up to like rend 3, but then it's also anti-infantry +1 rend. So you're going up to rend 4 against infantry with your.
Jesus. Do you have armor? No, you don't.
No, no one in the game does against it.
There's no such thing as armor. So the glowy shield of protectiness, which I love again, and it's like a Skaven shield with warpstone in it, which is cool. Every time you make an unmodified save roll of 6, you inflict 1 mortal damage on the attacking unit after the fight.
I think you might remember this one from some of our test games
Yes,
with the Iron
yes.
Shot.
It was fairly much that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does reduce. It did reduce Ren by. They did ignore like Ren 1 with it before, but
Right.
so that was really good.
So, and the other one is the Kingslaughter Cowl, which is just add 1 to your attacks while you're in combat with an enemy hero. It seems like a less good extra calloused feat, to be honest.
I mean that's all your attacks.
All your attacks, though. So yeah.
Yeah.
That go on. Some of the other weapons are pretty
Oh,
powerful. So
your
I think.
your feet are only kind of like a D3 weapon. Like some of, like, especially like the Gatebreaker with his
Yes, yes.
I'll say like flat 5 weapon. Yeah.
So, King Broad. What do you say about King Broad?
Oh, his prayers now though, it was all like once per game uses on his prayers. Whereas
He
now
only
it's
hits
just
on a 4-up. He's rubbish. Get rid of him. I have to say, I did see some people in the comments on the post complaining about kind of 4-up hits, and
What?
it is 4s and 2s across the boards for Gargant, and I believe that's completely fair. They struggle to hit the tiny things, but if they do hit them, they get wounded.
The damage. The fact that they're wounding on 2s with everything. People are
I
complaining that
know.
they're hitting on 4s.
Yeah. So 20 control, a regular 4-up save, 40 health. That's got to be the highest in the game, right?
Well, you'd hope. You'd absolutely
I'd hope so, yes, yeah. If there's higher than that, like, I think there may be a balance problem coming. He's a priest one. He has the 3 different attack profiles. Obviously, the Obelisk of Torcrania is just an insane weapon, putting out an insane amount of damage.
Which, yeah, as well. When you look at his prayer, and you can add one to the Ren characteristic of that as well.
Yes, yes. So his prayer here, it's a 5 to cast. If the You can pick one of the following effects, but if you roll 10, you pick two of them instead. So it's add 2 to the move characteristic of all your army for the rest of the turn.
Oh,
Heal D3 every unit. For the rest of the turn, add 1 to the rend characteristics of basically any
every one of the main weapons
main club weapons or whatever they are.
It is an amazing prayer. Like I said, like currently you can only use those effects once, like, and only like, you can only use each effect of it like once per battle.
Yes, yes. That is a hell of a buff. Like, if you're taking Brod in your army, you're going to be putting out so much damage across the board. You're going to be throwing out healing.
Which is like turn one, like if you're taking second turn and you do the command to pray in the enemy hero phase, and you get a good roll then, and then you get a good roll in your hero phase, so you can do the 10. You'd be going like, well, I'll have +2 movement on everyone, and I'll do the Ren characteristic up by 1 on everyone.
It is spicy, certainly. So Brod has also got like the passive where you can't be picked to be the target of a rampage.
That's really big. Because isn't I think, I'm not sure if Kragnus's one counts as a rampage where he does like this stupid amount of mortals to.
Yeah, I thought it did actually.
That'd be quite big if Brod can't be affected by that.
Yep. And so we have two abilities that are fairly much faction. Well, I think
all
they're
the Mega Gargants have them.
Yeah. So if it would be automatically destroyed, it just takes 6 damage instead. And the unit can pass through models that aren't monsters and terrain that's less than 4 inches tall.
Yeah.
So yep. I mean, those ones are kind of faction wide ones, but I think the prayer and the passive that Brod have got.
Oh yeah, just
are going to be
none of your rampages affect me at all. I think at the minute he has to like roll a 2 up to ignore him, and that can degrade over his wound loss.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, no, you're not doing anything to me.
So that is a crazy level War Scroll, and God only knows how many points he's going to be.
Then the Gatebreaker, like I can't believe this once per turn thing he has. Like, but we'll get to that at the end of it.
Well, yeah, let's start off. So five health left than Brod, so 35. Again, 20 control, 4 up save, and so there's some pretty good stats there. You can see the Fort Crusher Flail's anti-faction terrain, which I think they mentioned this in the terrain videos, articles, sorry.
But then again, what faction terrain needs that much damage going into?
Yeah.
Oh god.
So we have down here like the same ones, like the obviously degrading and the 2 passives that we saw on Brod.
He's still got his pulverizing strike, which it's hilarious when that goes off. So you can make a free pile-in move if you're in combat, and then if you get a 4+, you inflict 4d6 mortal damage. But this is instead of your melee attacks, from what I understand. And now I didn't quite get that from just reading that. I had to read the little qualifier below. So yeah, this is interesting, really, because like it is specifically worded at the moment that you give up all your attacks to do this.
Yep.
I'm not sure, like, whether that's worded correctly to like say that he can't do his other attacks or not? I know he should do it instead of his other attacks, but it's not really written that way there, is it?
I mean, it's hard to see without the full rules for how the keywords
I mean,
particularly
whether
interact.
it's because it has like core attack and fight in there, maybe that means that is his fight
Yeah.
action. I don't know.
You,
Again, it's like once the full rule book's out, like there should hopefully be something to clarify something like that.
I assume so, and it's to be fair, it's a very swingy move. You have a 50% chance of just not doing anything instead of all your attacks, and the most you could do is 24 mortal damage, which is huge, but the least you could do is 4 mortal
Yeah,
damage.
yeah, oh yeah.
So it's very swingy, but it's one of those things. If you just like gambling, if you like the feel of gambling on it, yeah, it could be
Gambler.
massive. So they're the terrain breaking ability then. You
This
have to
is
be within 3
ridiculous.
inches of you. If it's faction terrain, you inflict D3 plus 3 mortal damage on it. Roll a D3 for each non-monster unit within 3 inches of it. On a 2 plus, inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the roll. So
I just can't believe this just goes off every combat phase. Like he's just literally stood next to the terrain feature, and it's like
that's just kind of, it's fairly much a passive thing. It says once per turn, but it's if you reach the combat phase, you do this to a terrain feature if you're near it.
But then it's just like as well, like you don't have to break the terrain or anything. It's just literally every non-monster unit within 3 of that terrain feature just
Yeah,
potentially can take like D3 mortal wounds.
rubble raining down on them. That's crazy, and I think it's
Gatebreak is
gonna.
going to be so good.
Yeah, I think it's going to add for a lot of kind of like really thematic plays. I really like the idea. It just like conjures up images of like, you've got a unit cowering in this building and this guy's like hammering it down around them. I love that.
He does look an absolute beast.
So you see the War Stomper here, same profile again for the Gargant, same 4s and 2s across the board. More of an anti-infantry focus.
No, yeah. I say he's still got the same kind of like passives of the long shanks and the battle damage and everything. His Titanic Boulder Club's got a bit of an interesting rule to it now.
Yes.
Because this caps at 9, I believe, at the moment. And it is just basically it's like every model that's within like 3 inches of him, you add 1 to like the attacks characteristic of his Boulder Club up to a maximum of 9.
Right.
Whereas this one's just like he has to put all of his attacks into like 1 unit, but then for every 5 models, he gets an extra 2 attacks on his club.
Okay, so if you're going into a unit of 20 models, then you are you're getting 13 attacks basically. 13, have I got that right?
20, so
8.
Well, you get an extra 8,
12,
so you get 12 on there.
12, yeah, sorry.
But yeah, that's huge still though, like 12 attacks with that club.
And I mean, even like on a smaller unit, you can get up to 8 attacks on it.
Oh yeah, like a good unit of 10. Like he's still going up to 8. Yeah, it's kind of like it's going to be hard. He's not going to go into like more elite things now. Like he did have a thing before where if it was a monster that he was going into, he instantly got like 5 extra attacks or something. But
right. And this one, you really want to go for the big infantry units.
It's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do.
And he's got the almighty stomp as well to buff that.
So, yeah, like I was saying before, like that artifact earlier, it goes up to 5 attacks, rend-free base, D3 plus 1 damage on that.
And so the hurled body now as well, which is just like, you've just got to roll double the target's health characteristic, instant slay a model in the unit, and then you can inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the target's health characteristic.
Now this is an interesting one, because like currently he has a modifier to help him be able to pull this off.
Right.
But then there's lots of different 4+ rolls that he has to do to be able to pull it off.
Okay.
So in a way, now he's in a 3 health unit model is going to be like the highest thing that you can do anything to.
Yes.
But it's then guaranteed that he can do his throw and do the damage from it.
So on a 2-up, basically, a 1 wound unit 1, you can just kill one of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, and do 1 damage to another unit. So yeah, that seems a solid ability still. It's all very, very powerful, but then hopefully this is all balanced out by the small number of models.
Oh yes, yeah.
So the Man Crusher coming up next, and you can see the profile here is much more within the bounds of what we've seen. So only 12 wounds, 10 control still, which is pretty big. 5 unsaved.
It's interesting with the Man Crusher that they put them here, because then we do see them further down the page as the Spearhead example as well.
Yes,
but then you haven't got that many things to show off in the Sons of Behemat. So
no, I guess they were kind of limited in it. So this passive ability, while they're wholly within 12 inch of a Maggotkin, they can use run and charge in the same turn.
Yeah.
Just passively. That's great. That's
oh cute. They can currently do that now as well. It's
just can they?
It is just kind of like they revere their bigger brothers and things and just want to keep up with them.
Yes. And they have the stuff them in me bag rules still. So you have to just roll double the target's health characteristic again. It's just like the last one, only you can't then throw it. Yeah.
Which again, like they can potentially just auto kill a 3 wound model if they roll a 6, which it's always worth a try.
Yep. Got to be worth a go. So I believe that was all the main rules. Let's have a look at the Spearhead rules. Now, obviously the Spearhead's a little different for these guys than a lot of the ones we've seen in that you only have 3 models.
Yeah, they don't specifically have a Spearhead box. They've just kind of converted the box of 3 Man Crushers into a Spearhead detachment for them.
Yes. So your general is just one of them. You have the 2 abilities to roar, which is just on a 2-up, subtract 1 from hit rolls on a target.
And then you can also pick another one of the Man Crushers wholly within 12 of him to have an extra attack to their throwing rocks.
Yep. So both interesting, not like kind of close to the other ones, really. I guess the Bellowing Roar's close to one of them, but yeah.
I was looking at this at first thinking, like, how does this work at all? And then I noticed, they have the reinforcement keyword on them.
Yes. Now, both of the non-hero ones can be brought back once, which, yes.
So basically you've got like 60 wounds to chew through in their Spearhead thing.
Yes, your opponent will have to fight through 5 Gargants in this army. Obviously the small ones, like, the profiles are just fairly much a monster's profile with a very nice control score.
Honestly, like anything with some decent, well, even if you don't have rend, you're likely to do damage to them. It's not going to be like super oppressive to try and kill one of them or anything.
Oh, exactly, yeah. So the stuff from in my bag rules almost exactly the same, and the timber one is also almost exactly the same, only the 3 inch goes down to 2 inches on this one.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like it's the kind of like full on battle trait ability for the main army, but obviously for Spearhead they put it on their war scroll just to have like a slightly smaller version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, interestingly as well, this is like the first time we've seen a Spearhead and a main game war scroll in the same preview article to actually definitively see that it's like the same comparison. Attack profile.
So you can see, 4s and 2s all across the board. We're seeing, 1, 2, 2, 2, 4, D3. It is fairly much the same profile we've got on both of them.
That's
Yep.
nice.
Interesting.
Just again, like showing off that Spearhead does gradually introduce you to rules to the game to get yourself going into it.
Yeah. I don't think Gargants in Spearhead are going to be too OP.
No.
Hard to see how they'll go in full games, but they certainly have the abilities that are going to make them fun to play. If maybe frustrating to play against, who knows how it's going to turn out.
Well, I think we're rounding off this week by the looks of it with the Bone Reapers of
Bone Reapers tomorrow, yes.
Which it's been a fairly solid week of faction focuses this week. I don't think there's been any real like duds or anything so far.
No, they've all been on the higher, like at least from pretty solid to absolutely tremendous.
But yeah, I think I think anyone playing Sons of Behemat at the moment's gonna have a fun time moving in, playing them in 4th. Nurgle looks just as resilient as ever. I think Bone Reapers are definitely going to be a really interesting one to have a look at, because like obviously they're losing their kind of huge command point pool and losing all their kind of command abilities that they have, really.
Yes, because of the way things have been done previously. It's interesting to know how they're going to get that kind of tactical superiority element across in the new edition.
Hopefully it means more things like baked into their war scrolls, but we'll see.
Yep, we will see. Right, well, thank you very much for watching. If you're looking forward to playing any of the armies we've talked about today, we'd love to hear from you down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.